Thank you.
Thank you very much. I call Graham Simpson to be followed by Stuart Stevenson, and Mr Stevenson will be the last speaker in the open debate. Mr Simpson, please.
Thank you. There can be few more important subjects than the standard and condition of Scotland's homes. Last year, myself, Alex Rowley, Mark Ruskell and Liam MacArthur wrote to Kevin Stewart on energy efficiency and fuel poverty. Now, I grant you it was a rather odd alliance, but we were, and I think still are, at one in our belief that more needs to be done. We pointed out that the target for the elimination of fuel poverty by November 2016 was missed, and that 35% of Scottish households are in fuel poverty. We called for the elimination of poor energy efficiency as a driver of fuel poverty. We called for credible fuel poverty and climate change goals. We noted the recommendation of the expert fuel poverty strategic working group that all fuel poor homes should be brought up to at least an EPC Band C rating by 2025. We called for all fuel poverty programmes to be rural-proofed, as recommended by the Rural Fuel Poverty Task Force. We said that the Scottish Energy Efficiency Programme should have an interim target for the residential sector of supporting the vast majority of homes, for those for which it's technically feasible and appropriate to reach an EPC Band C rating by a date in the range of 2025 to 2030. And we said priority should be given to fuel-poor households, particularly remote and rural communities. We also supported efforts to work with the UK government to improve the assessment methodology that underpins the EPC, to improve its accuracy, and called for improved quality assurance of EPC assessments, as they have been too hit and miss. So, how does the Energy Efficiency Scotland programme published last week fare when set against this cross-party ambition? Let's take each of those asks in order and see how the so-called route map stands up. First, the elimination of poor energy efficiency as a driver of fuel poverty, and second, all fuel-poor homes should be brought up to at least EPC C by 2025. The programme commits to the first, but is there enough in it to give us any confidence that it will deliver? No, there isn't. What we have is a consultation. This government's very keen on them, and a proposal to get poor fuel households to EPC B by 2040. Now, it's safe to say that not a single government minister will still be in post in 22 years' time, and most of us will not be MSPs. So talk about kicking the can down the road. The commitment to have fuel-poor homes at EPC C by 2030 is not as ambitious as the target we called for. Why not? Added to that, we have dark warnings from stakeholders that the much-heralded Warm Homes Bill may be dropped in favour of a watered-down fuel poverty bill which won't deal with energy efficiency. I hope my information is wrong on that. Yes.
Minister.
Sorry, I'm grateful to the member taking an intervention. On that point, just to clarify, we have a fuel poverty-focused bill coming forward, but we do intend to bring forward further legislation on tackling energy efficiency and warm homes. So to reassure the member on that, but we're on the first phase of the two-bill process.
Yes, there was a manifesto commitment for a Warm Homes Bill, and I'm not clear from that answer whether that is still going to happen. Yes.
Minister.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. I thank the member again for taking an intervention. Just to be clear, we are obviously going through a process of working out the best method of tackling district heating, local heat and energy efficiency strategies with COSLA and other stakeholders, and we do intend to bring forward further legislation which will address the points he's raising in making our homes warm, efficient, energy efficient and tackling fuel poverty. But we're focusing on the fuel poverty target at this stage.
Mr Simpson, I'll give you the time back.
Thank you very much. It's not quite the same thing. However, third, rural proofing. The route map says nothing about rural homes. A number of members have mentioned this. This is a clear failure. Current proposals for supporting people in fuel poverty ignore the recommendations of the Scottish Rural Fuel Poverty Working Group to take into account the higher costs of living in rural areas when targeting fuel poverty support. And fourth, that the Scottish Energy Efficiency Programme should have an interim target for the residential sector of supporting the vast majority of homes to reach an EPC Band C rating by 2025 to 2030. Now, the majority of homes in Scotland, we've heard this already, 61%, are owner-occupied. So the question is, how are you going to get those homeowners to upgrade their properties, 1 million of which are below EPC C? And here the programme is particularly lacking. There's another consultation, why not, might as well. The government uses the phrase, we want to continue to encourage and enable owners to take action. Any suggestion of anything stronger will be left to the, quotes, later stages of the programme, whatever that means. The plan does not say in any detail, well, if I'm going to get the time back again.
Yes, if you wish, if you went to the Minister. Minister?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. In my opening remarks, I made clear that we would look at 2030 as being a point if we had not achieved our target to bring owner-occupier properties up to EPC standard C or better by 2030 through voluntary action. We would look to have further methods to actually compel that to happen thereafter. But I have not yet heard from the Conservatives how they would achieve their earlier target without compulsion or any incentive that's credible.
Mr Simpson.
And what the Minister didn't say earlier, and perhaps he can say later, is what that further action might be. The Scottish Government is kicking the can down the road again, and it's a road that takes until 2040 to travel. I tend to agree with Citizens Advice Scotland that you need to make things easy for people, so a one-stop shop approach should be considered. You can't force people to do things to their own homes, but you can enthuse them to want to and offer them things like meaningful council tax discounts or low-cost loans and grants. Finally, the EPCs should be more robust. Now, I'm glad the Scottish Government has finally agreed to look at EPC methodology. It cannot be right that someone can assess your home without even seeing it and give it a rating, and it cannot be right that two people can give the same house different ratings. That is the current position. I want to mention one more thing, and that's the condition of our existing homes. The route map doesn't deal with this. Many of Scotland's homes are ageing and crumbling. Ben McPherson mentioned this earlier, and the government hasn't got a clue what to do about it. It's been left to those of us across party who can see the problem to form a working group along with experts, and we will be coming up with proposals. Deputy Presiding Officer, I do thank you for the extra time. Energy efficient Scotland is a missed opportunity. We need to do better.
Well, you did take interventions and we did have some time in hand, so it's only fair. I call